All right. Good morning, everybody. I see Cindy D has first blood this morning. Good morning. Glad to hear you. Let me see. I've got the article there. Okay. So, uh, wow. It's Monday morning. I hope everybody had a good Easter Sunday. We had a good time yesterday. Big family meal, and it's funny. My mother will go shopping and buy groceries for a big get together like we had yesterday. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't even all that big a gathering by our standards. We had me and my wife and kids, mom and dad, Mike and Debbie, less than 20 people. That's actually pretty uncommon for a weekend, but we still had a good meal. Ma goes grocery shopping for Easter Sunday, and the next thing you know, we're having a ham, a prime rib, and lamb chops, uh, or rack of lamb rather, and it was excellent. It was delicious. So I hope everybody had a good Easter Sunday. It's it's Monday. I try to do them. I want to do the mellow Monday mornings, and frankly, this one's going to be a little mellow because the topic is somber. And I want to say this carefully. Uh, I'm not trying to throw shade at Mario for not being here this morning. Because I totally get where he's at right now. Uh, Mario's brother is in town visiting, and I happen to know that they haven't gotten to spend time together as much as they prefer for some time because his brother's been stationed overseas away from home, and so Mario and Marco they were playing Risk until 1 o'clock in the morning or later. Who hell I know the last update I saw in the infamous thread was them playing Risk at like 1:30 in the morning or some shit. But the Mario's our Catholic guy, right? Mario is a very devout Catholic, and he's I don't know if he's even seen the news yet, but yeah, it happened. Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff who ministered with a charming, humble style, dies at 88. He passed away last night. On our calendar. So Pope Francis, history's first Latin American pontiff who charmed the world with his humble style and concern for the poor, but alienated conservatives with critiques of capitalism and climate change, died on Monday. Guys, I'm gonna this morning I'm gonna try to report the news without doing too much color commentary on it in this particular context because uh, I'd rather get Mario's take, um, because this Pope was, like I said, I'm gonna try not to go too deep into the color commentary, but this Pope was not a favorite of the conservative Catholics, uh, and that's something I I know some of my Catholic buddies have had a hard time with it because, believe it or not, there are conservative Catholics. Mario's a very conservative, very Catholic guy, and that's his family, right? But Catholics by and large vote very very Democrat, and it's part of this is one of those things I'd rather have Mario on for, and I hate to keep saying that, but uh, in my opinion, Catholics tend to vote Democrat, but for the same reason but poor people vote Democrat, and it's because the Democrats have done a very good job of branding themselves as the pro-poor party. And I've talked about that many times in the past. The Democrat brands himself as the party that is pro-poor because it's easier to make people poor. And if you can make people poor and convince the poor that voting for you is good for them, then all you have to do to stay in power is to keep preventing people from rising up out of poverty. The more harm you can cause uh, as a pro-poverty candidate, the more poverty-stricken people there are to vote for you. Right? Anytime you have a political figure, and make no mistake, the Pope, no matter which Pope it is a political leader as well as a spiritual and religious leader. Uh, but anytime you have a political leader who is ostensibly for the poor, in favor of the poor, for poverty, even at the most charitable, what you're talking about is a person whose work relies on the existence of poverty. And so their professional interest is the expansion of poverty, because the more poor there are, the more job security they have. The Catholic Church, the Catholics generally have traditionally voted Democrat in this country for a very long time. And it's precisely because of that branding for the poor. It's great to make soup kitchens to speak to the poor, right? If you want to get a message out there, if you want to speak to the masses, hell yeah, open a soup kitchen and give away free food and go in there and preach your political philosophy. There are some obvious tactical, strategic benefits and profit margins to be had there, but let's not get confused here. For the soup kitchen pulpit method to work, you need people to come into the soup kitchen. Y'all, I can grow my veggies and in the yard and go collect eggs from the chickens in the morning and never ever have to worry about where my next meal's coming from. And that's before I talk about being a grown-ass man who earns money and can go buy my groceries. I'm not your target audience. You're not going to find me in a soup kitchen unless I get a sudden case of metastasized altruism. That's one of those diseases that's hard to scratch off. But let's talk about what happens next. So the bells tolled in church towers across Rome after the announcement, which was read out by Cardinal Kevin Farrell. The Vatican, and Mario, I apologize, brother. My Italian is not as good as my Latin. The Vatican Camerlengo from the chapel of the Doma Santa Marta, where Francis lived. At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome. So 7:35 this morning, that's GMT. What is that? 4 hours ago? No, it's not GMT. It's an hour. It's an hour east of GMT. So 5 hours ago. This is very, very fresh news, and that's, frankly, that's why that's the reason I'm covering this without Mario, because yeah, I'm a greedy capitalist pig, and I want to catch the scoop on this and be one of the first out there with the good SEO on it. Francis, who suffered from chronic lung disease and had part of one lung removed as a young man, was admitted to Gemelli Hospital on the 14th. Jesus, man. We're going to stick you in the hospital on Valentine's Day so that you can croak on Easter for a respiratory crisis that developed into double pneumonia. He spent 38 days there, the longest hospitalization of his 12-year papacy. And guys, pneumonia, double pneumonia. I've I've talked about it on the show a few times. I had pneumonia last year. Spent a week in a hospital. I lost 68 pounds, and I'm a big, strong. Let's be fair, kind of fat dude. Me losing 60 pounds was a life improving, catastrophic health event. But after the recovery, having lost all that weight, that improved my life, my outlook for sticking around longer. You start talking about a near novagenarian, and the weight loss, the dehydration, and all of the other secondary and tertiary ailments that come along with being bedridden with pneumonia for over a month. Uh, Not to be cruel, but we shouldn't, we shouldn't be surprised. Um, old man, an old man who was sick has passed away, and that's, tragic for sure. Uh, but also not surprising. So he emerged on Easter Sunday, his last public appearance a day before his death, to bless thousands of people in St. Peter's Square and treat them to a surprise Pope-mobile romp through the piazza, drawing wild cheers and applause. Beforehand, he briefly met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. So I'm gonna I'm not gonna make any promises on this. I'm gonna talk to Mario later today, and this might be an event sufficient to get Mario, uh, and maybe we'll pop up later today and do a late afternoon special or something. No promises, but this seems like the kind of thing where that might be worth doing. And yeah, the Aaron Olson says this is a great deep dive opportunity. It is. It you're not wrong. And again, I'll talk to Mario about how we want to go about that. It may end up being especially interesting since Mario's brother is in town, and we can talk about some of that as well. Um, so I'm not going to go on too long this morning, again, because I'm not the right guy to have to talk about this Pope. Uh, so let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the next article, uh, because JD Vance did meet with the Pope this weekend, over the weekend. Vance meets Pope Francis on Easter Sunday after tangle over migration. And let's be very fair and charitable to this article, given that the article was written before the Pope passed away. So Vance meets Pope Francis on Easter Sunday. Met briefly with Pope Francis on Sunday to exchange Easter greetings after they got into a long-distance tango over the Trump administration's migrant deportation plans. Francis, who was recovering from a near-fatal bout of pneumonia, received Vance in one of the reception rooms of the Vatican hotel where he lives. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Um, the 88-year. Okay, excuse me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. I just had a bout of the hiccups that. Oh, okay. I think I got that back under control. Okay, the 88-year-old Pope offered the Catholic vice president 3 big chocolate Easter eggs for Vance's 3 young children who did not attend, as well as a Vatican tie and rosaries. Uh, Now, Vance being Catholic, and that's a big deal that he got to meet the Pope. generally, but that also means that he is the last major public official to have a meeting with the Pope before his passing, and that's one of those. That's definitely a little something for the history books. It says, I know you've not been feeling great, but it's good to see you in better health, Vance told the Pope. Thank you for seeing me. Man, oh, I had to tell you, I saw somebody on there's some people on X saying that the Pope snubbed Vance yesterday, and it doesn't read that way to me. But I saw a bunch of lefty nuts saying, "Oh yeah, the God kept the Pope alive just long enough to be here to put Vance in his place." I'm like, if you're gonna be assholes about it, maybe if you think the Pope snubbed Vance, then maybe God just said, okay, you had your chance and you blew it. So come on home, son. It's time for somebody else to step up and put on the funny hat. But that's Vance's motorcade entered Vatican City through a side gate while Easter Mass was being celebrated in St. Peter's Square. Francis had delegated the celebration of the Mass to another cardinal. The Vatican said they met for a few minutes at the Domus Santa Marta to exchange Easter greetings. Vance's office said the vice president expressed his gratitude to Pope Francis for inviting him to meet on Easter Sunday and for the hospitality the Vatican has extended to his family. So, I think I'm about to go ahead and put a pin in it and call this morning just a short show because I got to get on the road. And again, I want to get Mario in to discuss this more fully and discuss kind of the political ramifications, because Pope Francis has been a pretty controversial pope. He's famously one of the more socialist communist popes, and bizarrely for a pope has been very pro LGBT, which is a whole nother conversation. So I look forward to getting Mario's take on this as well. So damn, I had been up since 3 o'clock this morning. So yeah, that's about all I've got on this one this morning. We'll be back tomorrow with a hopefully a more upbeat, if not more raucous conversation. We'll see how that shakes out. So you guys, I hope you guys had a great Easter Sunday, good time with the family. It's Monday morning. It's time to get back out there and go make the donuts. So thanks for watching this morning, guys. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.